there is a debate ongoing among economists which seems like there is no ending. Should countries trade freely or impose any restrictions such as tariff and quotas? The main idea for the trade is as simple as ABC. When countries can trade without any restriction, the focus can be transferred into other things such as quality of goods, so they can trade with another country with lower set scale of specialty. On the other hand, some countries still impose restrictions on import goods. Some countries impose tax on import goods and some countries limit on the quantity of import goods. This can cause negative effects towards the country itself and the global market. Even though the idea of free trade is beneficial in many ways, there is element of disagreement shown by certain countries in the real world.
Alright, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamualaikum and good day. So my name is Muhammad Fariduddin bin IDRIS. So I will explain my part, which is protection of domestic industries. So my analysis is trade partner retaliatory tariff against the United States because early increase in domestic steel investment and production, introduction to international supply chains, and higher expenses for companies that depend on steel. Moreover, the tariff had no appreciable effect on long-term employment in the steel industry. Like this, agricultural subsidy in India have benefited farmer but have also skewed local market, led to inefficiency and complicated debates about trade with other countries. Therefore, even though the claim purpose of this protection law was to protect domestic enterprise, it is unlikely that they were effective in promoting long-term growth and competitiveness.
Assalamualaikum, Madam. My name is Muhammad HAKIMI. So, for the argument of fairness, the first example is the tariff on Chinese steel import, which implemented by the United States in the early 21st century. It was aimed at addressing perceived unfair competition due to subsidies and cheap labor costs in China, resulting in significant decline in Chinese steel shipment to the US, causing overcapacity in the Chinese market and subsequent restructuring, layoff, and plant closure. For the second example is the EU anti-dumping taxes on Chinese solar panel. It was levied in 2013 by the European Union. It was alleged Chinese subsidies and government intervention unfairly benefit Chinese companies, which led to the trade disputes and punitive measures impacting both domestic industry and global trade dynamic. The unintended consequences for the protectionism increase consumer price without addressing underlying productivity and competitiveness issue. Uh, it was it is deteriorate, deteriorated diplomatic ties between nations, hindering collaboration on significant matter. Dis- Disrupt supply networks, resulting in delays, shortage, and higher price for companies and customers globally. Uh, and lastly, contributes to decreases in trade, slowing the economic development and diminish faith in the stability of the world market. So, for the second argument is infant industry. For the first example for this argument is the Brazilian protectionist policies 1960s to 1970s, which utilized tariff and import replacement plan to boost domestic industries, particularly electronic and automotive, resulting in a significant growth for Brazil's car industries and the emergence of homegrown electronics business like Guardian. However, it faced a few challenges, including rising inflation and reliance on costly imported oil. For a second example is the South Korean protectionism in the 20th centuries. It was implemented by high it was implement high tariff and import restriction to support steel, electronic, and shipbuilding sectors. Initially led to success in expanding domestic industries. However, long-term effect varied, with some sector becoming competitive globally, while other face inefficiency and lack of innovation. For a long-term effect of protectionism is the effect inefficiencies of an increased consumer price due to lack of access to global supply network and economies of scale, ineffective distribution of resources leading to unproductive allocation, um, misal- misallocation of resources, lowering the productivity and economic development, lastly, high import restriction and tariff disrupt the market dynamics and discourage foreign investment. For third argument is the uh, eh, for the third argument is the term of trade. For first example is the OPEC oil embargo in 1970s, motivated by political and economic reasons, particularly aimed at pressuring Israel and asserting control over the oil market. A sharp increase in oil price led to the trade imbalance and market disruption globally, resulting the economy challenges for oil importing nation and volatility in global oil market. For second example is the for EU Common Agriculture Policy. It was implemented to safeguard the regional farmers and ensure the food security. It is utilized trade restriction and subsidies to protect European farmers from foreign competition, and mixed with the long-term result, including overproduction, increased consumer price, and restricted market access for non-EU nations. The impact of these protectionist policies is the short-term benefit may lead to the long-term inefficiencies and trade imbalance. Challenges from international agreement promoting free trade may arise. Artificial, artificial trade barrier destroy distort market and hinder competitiveness. Market inefficiency may limit economic expansion and hinder global trade. And lastly, trade limitation may eventually level the playing field for the international trade, but at the expense of market efficiency and economic progress. For the last argument is the tariff and export taxes for revenue. For first example is the export taxes in Argentina and Brazil. Argentina imposes export taxes on agricultural commodities to increase government revenue. Brazil taxes export of commodities like coffee and iron ore to boost domestic income. Such taxes can make homegrown good less competitive and in the international market, rising consumer costs and potentially impeding sector expansion. For second example is the tariff in India and China. India charges import tariff on cars and gadgets to raise the revenue and close the trade deficit. China levies import duties on steel and aluminium to protect its own industries, while tariff may shield local businesses and reduce competition. They can also hinder economic growth and face criticism for their negative impact on consumers and local economics. The trade strategies alternative for free trade agreement is the free trade agreement aim to promote economic growth by reducing or eliminating tariff and trade barriers, by enhancing the market access and fostering innovation and competitiveness. Free trade agreements advance to global commerce, and lastly, emphasizing diversification of the economy and promoting free trade agreements can reduce reliance on export taxes and tariff. what encourage international collaboration and enhancing diplomatic ties. That's all for me.
So the next part, I will explain about job preservation and creation. So my analysis for regarding this, limit on import from Brazil was set up to protect domestic company and job opportunities, but instead they have driven increasing prices for consumer, decreased the variety of product available, and provoked trade partner reaction. Although this action at first helped surrounding companies in near term, they did not solve the fundamental problem with competitiveness. Similar agriculture tariff imposed by Japan have protected the home farmer from foreign competition, but they have also increased prices for consumer, cost inefficiency in the agriculture sector, and impeded international trade discussion. Thus, it is debatable if this protection policy will ultimately successful in creating competitiveness and long-lasting economic growth, even though they may have momentary save certain jobs.
The next argument is health and safety regulation. Concern over food safety led the European Union to outlaw the import of chicken treated with chlorine rinses in 2015. This prohibition was imposed by Regulation EC number 853/2004, which specified the condition for food derived from animals. To comply with EU regulation, those nations that routinely disinfected poultry using chlorine rinses had to come up with other options. Other than that, India imposed strict import laws for electronic goods in order to shield the environment and the general population from the risks associated with dangerous substances. These rules are meant to make sure that dangerous materials like lead, mercury, cadmium, or polychlorinated biphenyls are not included in electrical goods imported into India. Since suppliers and manufacturers now have to make sure their products meet rules, testing and certification expenses have gone up. Next argument is intellectual property protection. India implemented the Patent Amendment Act 2005 to improve intellectual property rights (IPR) protection to par with international norms. This act balances public health concern with the encouragement of innovation and technological transfer. The law increased the length of patents and created products patent for drugs, therefore giving invention greater protection. This encouraged creativity and injected capital into the nation's technical industry. Other than that, annually, the United States Trade Representative USTR also compiles the Special 301 report to identify nations that do not adequately safeguard intellectual property rights. One of the reasons China keeps cropping up in the research is worries about intellectual property theft and law enforcement. Growth of the economy and innovation need intellectual property protections. Nevertheless, preserving intellectual property rights and advancing access to necessities like medication are still difficult to achieve in the right ratio. Finding a means of protecting intellectual property without compromising access to basic needs such as reasonably priced medication is essential.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. So my name is Muhammad bin NIZAM, and let's start for this presentation. So for my part, Japan and United States. So as you can see, protection of the pharmaceutical industry. We all know that Japan takes the steps to safeguard its pharmaceutical industry by regulating prices, enacting laws, and also like defending patents, sorry, and aiming to maintain a stable drug supply and also to foster innovations. Patents grants companies like exclusive rights to develop new drugs, encouraging investment and also in research and development, and also ensuring competition in the markets. This helps create a new and better medicines that people needs. Additionally, governments strategically invest in the key sectors such as technology, aerospace, and also like the renewable technology to promote long-term economic growth through subsidies, grants, and incentives. They support companies working in these areas, which not only stimulates innovation but also to generate employment opportunities, contributing to overall economic strength. So and then like the by by prioritizing to these protective measures and strategic investment, both Japan and the other nation aim to sustain their industries and to drive innovation, also bolster economic competitiveness on a globally scale. So as you can see, both companies need to advance in their own terms and also they all want to grow, but they both need to protect their own terms and conditions and also to guard their own and ensure their own growth instead of letting others to copy their own innovations. And to ensure all the economic resilience in the face of global uncertainties, protectionist policies are employed by the both United States and Japan. So both countries speaks like the to seek minimize potential threats to national economic security and to maintain the supply of necessities like the drugs we mentioned earlier and to lessen dependency of the outside sources of defending vital industries, including like the technology, aerospace, and all the renewable technology. And by strengthening their home sectors and preventing more imports, and so promoting innovation and promoting long-term economic growth, these protectionist policies work as proactive tactics, and that will eventually increase the increase the economies like the growth. So offer resilience to shock and the destruction from the outside world. So that's all from me. Thank you.
In conclusion, the debate between free trade and protectionism is complex. While free trade encourages efficiency and innovation, protectionism aims to safeguard the local industries. However, protectionist measures can lead to inefficiencies and trade tensions. Striking a balance is crucial. Government must weigh short-term gains against the long-term impacts and explore alternative strategies in sustainable economic growth. Collaboration and dialogue are essential for navigating the complexities of international trade.